Hey everyone, welcome to the Pace Studio in New York City. We're here with Noam Pikelny. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
What's the first song you're going to play for us today?
I'll play the opening track off my new record. This one's called Waveland.
Whenever you're ready. That's an intense way to start off this session. Thank you. So your new record, Universal Favorite, is out now on Rounder Records, but it's actually your fourth album that's not with a band like the Punch Brothers. I've read that it's more like a true solo debut. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I've done several solo albums prior to this one, but this is the first record that I can legally refer to as a solo album.
Legally,
in the sense that there's absolutely no one else on this record. It's just me playing and singing in the studio, and it's a fairly lonely pursuit doing it this way. But I felt like it was time to make a record like this. I've always thought that the banjo is capable of creating a lot of interesting sounds that just don't translate in a group setting, and so I gravitated towards writing and putting together a show of just solo music, a one-man show, and it kind of snowballed from there into the international sensation that it is.
Obviously. Mm-hmm. You also found your voice, so to speak, on this record. You're singing.
I am singing on this record. I've always enjoyed singing harmony. Before I've sung harmony on stage with Punch Brothers, and I've always been eager to sing in more social settings and in jam sessions or around the campfire. And as the material was coming together for this record, I saw that it was running the risk of becoming a banjo recital very quickly. Not to knock banjo recitals, but I didn't feel like that was really an accurate representation of where I'm at musically. And I love playing vocal music, and I've had such an amazing, such a lucky opportunity over the years to play with really great singers, whether it's John Cowan or Chris Thiele, or sometimes with Tim O'Brien. And in those situations, I've never felt really justified to elbow my way in as a lead singer. But as this album was shaping up, I felt like there would be a major blind spot if on this record if there weren't songs. And I felt like playing songs and playing to support a song, to serve the song, is such a huge part of my musical fabric that I wanted it to be part of this record, despite the fact that I'm not most well known as a singer.
Will you be singing on the next song that you're going to play for us today?
I'm going to be singing all over it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
What's the next song you're going to play?
I'm going to play a tune that I've had kind of in my back pocket for about 30 years. This is a song called Once I Had an Old Banjo. It was a song that my teacher, first banjo teacher in Chicago, was playing, and he told me to seek out the version he learned it from. And so I went with my dad to a record store when I was 8 years old and bought an album by a Chicago folk singer named Fleming Brown. And this song, Once I Had an Old Banjo, was track one on side A of Fleming Brown's record, which was called the Little Rosewood Casket and Other Songs of Joy. And so I'm the third Chicago banjo player to be working on this song, and I've always loved that title, The Little Rosewood Casket and Other Songs of Joy, and it inspired me to seek something similar for this project. And the working title for this solo album was actually the Tarnished Urn and Other Songs of Jubilation, but Rounder kind of put the kibosh on it at the last minute. They said we needed something a little bit more boastful, and so I settled on Universal Favorite. So I'll play Once I Had an Old Banjo for you right now. Once I had an old banjo, it was strung with twine. The only song that I could sing was Trouble on My Mind, boys, trouble on my mind. Trouble on my mind, boys, trouble on my mind. I went down to Lynchburg to fetch me a bottle of wine. They hitched me to that whipping post. They gave me 99, boys, gave me 99. Gave me 99, boys, gave me 99. I went back to Lynchburg to fetch me a bottle of gin. They hitched me to that whipping post. They gave me hell again, boys, gave me hell again. Gave me hell again, boys, gave me hell again. It's raining, it's hailing, it's snowing from the sky. If I don't get my true love, I reckon I will die, boys, reckon I will die. Reckon I will die, boys, reckon I will die. It's trouble, trouble, trouble on my mind. If trouble don't kill me, I live a long time, boys, live a long time. Live a long time, boys, live a long time. Once I had an old banjo, it was strung with twine. The only song that I could sing was trouble on my mind, boys, trouble on my mind. Trouble on my mind, boys, trouble on my mind. Trouble on my mind, boys, trouble on my mind. Thanks.
I'm told that each instrument that you play on this record has a different story to it.
Yeah.
What is the story with this banjo, and what was the inspiration, the rationale for storied instruments?
Yeah, well, I played a handful of different instruments on this record, mostly banjo, but a few tracks on guitar and a few songs on some oddball four-string instruments that people probably haven't seen before. This banjo, I've initially gravitated to this instrument because I loved how it sounded. I found it in a music store in Nashville, and it's from an era of really amazing banjos from the 30s and early 40s, made in Kalamazoo, Michigan, by the Gibson Company. And this was kind of the first really, high caliber vintage banjo that I ever purchased. And I bought the thing just because I liked how it sounded. And then a couple months after getting it, the shop owner explained to me that he actually got this instrument from a gentleman in South Africa. And when I heard that, I was just kind of fascinated by the history of this thing. I was like, well, how did this thing that was made in 1941 in Kalamazoo end up in South Africa? And so I started following a trail of breadcrumbs, trying to figure out the actual story of this instrument. And it turns out that the Gibson Company, as kind of the banjo was falling out of popularity, by the mid 30s, the guitar had really taken over, and banjo players were really being pushed off the bandstand. And so Gibson had all these banjos that they couldn't find buyers for, and so they dumped a lot of these in South Africa. And so they exported all of these, what are now kind of holy grail instruments, to South Africa. And a gentleman found this banjo covered in rhinestones and painted and just completely bedazzled in a pawn shop in Johannesburg in the early 80s. And he played it in an Irish band in Johannesburg, which is also kind of somewhat crazy. And then for a while he had this as his personal instrument, and then eventually sent it to Nashville. And so it's had a pretty winding path. And
did you keep at least one rhinestone for posterity?
No, I would have kept all of the rhinestones if it was up to me. But by the time it was available for purchase, it had already been restored, and they had taken all the rhinestones off. And so it's really unfortunate. But I do have photos of it from before it was returned to originality. So
excellent. Well, what's the last song you're going to play for us today?
Sure, I'll play an instrumental, another instrumental that I wrote. This is a tune called Hen of the Woods. Hopefully, while I'm playing this, people could just imagine the rhinestones on this instrument for extra effect. Isn't that I'm pretty sure that's isn't that how Snapchat actually got their big break? Was they had some app that would automatically, you could take a picture of a banjo and it would add rhinestones to it, and it's kind of the world went crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And from there, they're like, oh, if it works with a banjo, then what if we aimed it at a human being and put funny glasses on them? Right. And so I take
And
credit for a
rainbows
lot of that.
vomiting
Yeah.
out of their faces.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Where will you be touring next? Where can anyone tuning in catch you live?
Just in a few hours, I'll be playing at the Bowery Ballroom tonight. It's my first time playing there solo. It's been a few years. Punch Brothers did a string of New Year's Eve dates there at the Bowery
I was
Ballroom.
there.
You were there,
I was there.
and that was my last time there. And I guess everything that I've been up to since then just hasn't been commercially viable enough for the Bowery Ballroom. They were waiting for me to put together a solo banjo
They were just
show.
waiting for this record,
they needed something that
really.
would really pop. So I'll be at the Bowery Ballroom tonight, which is I'm really looking forward to. And we have about 2.5 weeks worth of shows coming up. I don't have them all memorized beyond this weekend. Philadelphia tomorrow, and then up with good friends, the Steep Canyon Rangers up in Great Barrington, Mass. But we're making our way all the way down to Savannah and finishing up in Nashville on April 8th. So there's a show for everybody.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today. And,
My pleasure.
Break a leg at the Bowery tonight.
Is it true that I get to select one of these reel-to-reels to keep?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Let that be known.
Okay.
Yes.
I think, where's the Coltrane? Okay.
I'm going to go with this.
Okay. Thank you, guys.